And let's say you don't like her answer. Are you going to vote for Donald Trump?
No, I'm not.
Kamala
I just said I'm not going to vote for her.
She's not running for perfect.
Oh,
She's running against Trump. We have two choices. And so there are some things you might not know her answer to.
We don't know her answer to anything, okay?
But you know his answer to everything. Expanding that child tax credit, or you mentioned housing before, giving that extra money for a first home. If you can't raise corporate taxes, or if GOP takes control of the Senate, where do you get the money to do that? Do you still go forward with those plans and borrow?
Well, but we're going to have to raise corporate taxes, and we're going to have to make sure that the biggest corporations and billionaires pay their fair share. That's just it. It's about paying their fair share.
It's not an answer.
Expanding that
running for president. Well, you sound like a dictator. We're going to have to. Yeah. Right. She's asking you, how are you going to do it? She's not being interviewed afterwards saying, so how was it? Go ahead.
That answer. I do, but here's what's a little tricky. She doesn't answer the question around if the GOP is controlling the Senate, if she can't raise corporate taxes, where is she going to get the money from? To expand the child tax credit and do all the things she wants to do. And she says, we just have to do it. And that's great. And that's a campaign promise. But the issue is, if it means we're just going to borrow again, then what we're doing is we're just never addressing the deficit. And back in the days when you were a proud Republican,
spending more taxes.
Deficits matter.
Go to her, Stephanie Rule, on Bill Maher. Watch this exchange.
Ask Kamala, say, are you for a Palestinian state if Hamas is going to run that state?
Okay.
Yes or no?
And let's say you don't like her answer. Are you going to vote for Donald Trump?
No, I'm not.
Kamala
I just said I'm not going to vote for her.
She's not running for perfect. She's running against Trump. We have two choices. And so there are some things you might not know her answer to. And in 2024, unlike 2016 for a lot of the American people, we know exactly what Trump will do, who he is, and the kind of threat he is to democracy.
I don't know.
Here we go. Oh, applause break from the dumbest brainwashed audience.
With Kamala, we don't know her answer to anything.
Yes.
Okay?
But you know his answer to everything.
And that's why I would never vote for him, and people should vote for him. But people also are expected to have some idea of what the program is of the person you're supposed to vote for. You're just not supposed to say, well, you have to vote for Y because X is this, that, and the other. Let's find out a little bit more. I don't think it's a lot to ask her to sit down for a real interview.
90 people in the audience are awake.
Within the Democrat Party, you are not allowed to be a rational opponent of Trump. You have to be.
Say to that, when you move to Nirvana, give me your real estate broker's number and I'll be your next door neighbor. We don't live there.
Oh, God.
Like, Tom, what do you think? What do you think about the whole Kamala question from the beginning? Economy, what are you going to do? We have to, and into all this stuff.
Well, there's two problems here, and I just made the point about, I won't belabor it, about the reporter. You're not allowed to be a rational opponent of Trump, meaning you can't be an opponent of Trump and be rational about any criticism of Kamala Harris.
It's not
Stephanie Rule there is embarrassing and embarrassed herself. She's definitely a little ticked the way she's being attacked for how she conducted the interview. But on the other side, I'm sitting here wondering, did Kamala Harris understand how government really works in that moment? Did she have a rational thought about that? Because I remember Clinton having to work with Republican Congress. And Clinton, who came up and said, look, we're going to have to make some compromise. We have to negotiate point by point. And there's things that they want. We have to get this. So I have to work through that Congress to make it happen. He knew. And this is after Lewinsky in his second term, where he was a real economic centrist. And so you would hear it from there. You don't hear it from her. She's like, we just have to get it done. And she goes back to the campaign things. It just shows a very vacuous, vapid, shallow, uninformed candidate who's not coming out with anything that sounds like a reasoned approach.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And the game keep calling me. Can't escape the voices cause they all in me, all with me. Go.
That's that nigga, you know what I'm saying? He's doing his thing.
Welcome back to the channel. G-Mac back with some thoughts, with some opinions, with some reactions. Like, subscribe, comment if you like the content. And with that said, let's take this walk. And look, I gotta be honest. Kamala starting to crash and burn merely by being herself, a drunken prosecutor turned politician who only has the lying to the people part of the job mastered. Master being the title. People like this that Kamala is pictured with the help. By the way, Candace Owens went down a rabbit hole exposing her entire Jamaican family history. But Master being the title that people like this called her actual great relatives who were wealthy plantation owners. Anyways, the crash and burn is almost a relief. It's a relief that her inevitable complete destruction of a country that is already on its way won't be remembered in 20 years as the work of black people. Not the work of a black person per se, but the work of a representative of the chic black vote. And like, who votes in this manner anyways? You got two choices. Think of it like the Pepsi and Coke challenge. Well, right now this is gonna be Coke. That's who the fuck drinks Coke anyway. But anyways, Pepsi Coke challenge. Assume you've done it in the past a couple of times before and you chose Coke once, you experienced that, and then you chose Pepsi. But this time around, Pepsi has been recalled. They figured out that all the Pepsis distributed from 2021 to 2024, well, they turn into mush if you let them sit on the shelf and age. Now, the new version they put out to compete already has rumors of its great taste claims just not being true. And it possibly has traces of arsenic in it. Now, the Coke, it tastes the same, but just because you woke up one day and decided not to like it, you are still willing to choose that Pepsi. And that's where we're at now. Cognitive dissonance at play at its finest. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. And with that said, hopefully you've been entertained and informed while passing this precious time that we had. And hopefully I've earned your sub. This has been Doing It for GP. Till next time.
Never did me, I spit the truth. Call you aware, fear-driven niggas get the boot. All of you squares couldn't fit up in my circle. All of us rare and will hurt you severe. Slow your roll, nigga, patience is a virtue.